Hi, do you ever wonder how we process information and how we retain it? So, we receive information through our five senses, and it starts with our brains, and then we get it and we document it, we construct it, and then we store it. First, I'll talk about how the perception of it, and then short term memory and selective attention. So, we perceive information through our sensory motor memory, which enables us to process and recall information that we take in. There's three types of this, and it is the first one is through iconic, which is visual, and haptic, I believe, information coming from touch, and then echoic, I believe, which is through hearing. Now, short-term memory is where we're aware of thinking, we're aware of what we're thinking at the moment, and there's three concepts for getting information into short-term memory. And that's like paying attention to a stimuli that if it's interesting, seeing a pattern, or if it's an important point that we point out. So we don't want to forget this information, but it usually only lasts around 18 to 20 seconds on average, because we can hold around 5 to 9 items at a time. That's like making a list of items and telling your students, okay, I want you to remember all of these items. And most of the time, they'll remember 5 to 9 out of 20. And this can we can lengthen this time by what we call repetition. So the more and more and more we repeat, then it'll last maybe up to 20 minutes. So the second part is like long-term memory, and that is it's virtually unlimited, and it can last up to a lifetime. We receive the information through several different avenues. We can associate this information with something in our lives that's prominent. We can maybe get it from general knowledge, and then we can get it from episodic memory, which is from events that happen in our lifetime. And then we can also see, we can get it from procedural knowledge, which is how we do something, and how, okay, I'll give you an example. So say a surgeon is going to do heart surgery. He goes in his memory bank from long-term memory because he's done the surgery before. So those are the two kinds of memory. Now, the processes that we go through in order to get the information, those are based on assumptions, including information available by the environment, the process system of we alter information in systematic ways, and then also we aim to research and specify certain structures that underline cognitive performances. Information processing in humans resemble computers. So you're going to use a computer and you have to go in and you have to type in and you have to do certain steps for the computer to go in and acknowledge what you're doing and then remember how to do it. So our brains are they're the same. It's the same concept. Now, information processing is a theory that is continually revolving and cycling and flowing of information in your brain. And then this is done over and over and over, and then it is stored and then released by our behaviorisms, how we act. Now, this continues throughout our lives, and then we're learning how to understand what we're feeling and how to process it, which is the main goal of information and memory. Next, we'll talk about the 8 multiple intelligences. Now, these are said to be one of the most helpful tools in a classroom for students. There's 8 different types, and they show how one individual does not need to be characterized as having general learning abilities or lack thereof, like a standardized test. That will go in and tell you about a set of one set of learning styles, and not every child's going to learn that way. And these 8 multiple intelligences, that's what these are kind of trying to explain. Now, students learn better through utilizing more than one of these senses, or the intelligences, I should say. And that provides them opportunities to collaborate with students and, just have a more broader book, so to speak, of knowledge, because they can get it from each other. So first we're going to look at linguistic, then logical, mathematical, and spatial visual intelligences. Now, with logical mathematical learning styles, they're learning to be taught with like materials and computers and statistical and analytical programs. They're goal-oriented. So that's really what those are about. Now, the other ones are about creative, and they like to do creative activities, such as like journaling, creating graphs and charts and timelines and categories. Now, the next one we can talk about is going to be people with a visual intelligence. And they like to use written and diagrams and instructions, visual media. They are typically good at memory, and they like to do like puzzles, reciting drills, and repetition. Now we're going to look at musical and kinesthetic learners. Those are, I think I'm a little bit like a kinesthetic learner. The people that like to do these things, they like to focus on spoken content with their conversation and association and visualization. Music learning style students have good auditory memory and respond well to like jingles and rhymes. Rhyming, I used to sing the alphabet and colors to my daughter when she was a baby, and we would sing them so she would know how to spell them, and it lasted longer and quicker because she was able to rhyme with spelling. So that's a good way of learning how to spell. And students with their teachers, they want to create a rap, like that. Like I said, with learning these colors or the spelling of words, and it helps them remember it. Now, kinesthetic learners, they're more of a movement type of learner. They prefer direct involvement over the material, and then they would rather not, they don't really like worksheets or reading from books. They like to be up and moving around so that they can touch and feel and their information that they're having to learn. And then finally, we'll talk about interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalist. Now, the people with interpersonal learning styles learn best when they're permitted to use their senses as a part of learning. They often prefer direct involvement with others in group projects. They have a strong sense of intuition and regarding others' opinions and preferences. Now, interpersonal learners are good at reading people and are good at getting the to the root cause of what the communication problem is. Now, they say a good example of that is today a reader and tomorrow a leader. Now, intrapersonal, they're goal oriented. They are very self aware of their strengths and weaknesses, and they are highly self management, goal oriented with their skills. They do most of their learning by themselves. They prefer to read and learn solo rather than in groups. Now, a naturalistic learner loves to be outdoors. They can learn about anything if they're outdoors, like through plants and animals, weather. And as a result, they tend to be active member of their school on issues related to their environment. So these are the 8 types of multiple intelligences. And as you can see, they are a wide range, kind of like a rainbow. It's a big rainbow of different learning styles. So to put students in one category is a big mistake, I believe. And I think this would go good with the learner style environment in a classroom.